Hey everybody, it's Cody Spar with Polypixel again, and in this video I'm going to go over how I did the lighting for the downtown pack. And you probably noticed that I will rotate lights around and I won't get any build errors because I'm using dynamic lights. Now, I'm not using just ordinary dynamic lights, I'm using dynamic GI lights. Now, if you don't really know what that is, I would definitely go look up light propagation on Unreal's documentation. And essentially, what it is it's just a real-time version of all the fun indirect lighting and bounce lighting that you get when you do light mass, but not doing light mass. So it is in an experimental phase right now. I don't think they've officially given it like the 1.0 launch. And um, here's a good example of what it does. So it's just like the bounce lighting. So I use it in these situations and I don't seem to have any problems and I don't get any crashes and it doesn't really affect my performance. So I don't know why it's not like super unpopular, or it is super unpopular, but I think it works really well for these large scenes, because if I were to do light mass for these scenes, it would take a really long time. And I honestly don't know if I could do something like on this scale with light mass. So dynamic lights is the way to go. So to quickly set up your dynamic lights, what you need to do is you're going to need to write down this little one line of code in your console variables .ini. So find that. Just go wherever you downloaded your version. So if you did this for an old version and you updated a version, you'll have to do the same line of code for that whichever version you're using. So for this one, I'm using 4.15, engine, config, console variables, and then right there on the bottom, we'll just throw in a light propagation volume, just like that. Restart your engine, and you should be good to go. Now, obviously, you're not good to go like right away. There's a little bit of setup, and I'm just going to walk you through that right now. So, first things first, got to put a sunlight in there, or a directional light, and then turn that to movable. The only other thing you have to do is just click on dynamic indirect lighting. So if I turn this off, there's my lighting. And I turn it back on. Wait, where is it? Ah, ooh, nice, huh? So that's pretty much it. I think you can change the intensity. I usually don't do it through here. I do it through the post-processing volume. So let's just increase this, and you get to see what it's doing. So, whoa, that's a little much. Tone that down a little bit, so you can see. It takes a little second for it to buffer, but it's doing a pretty good job, especially considering it's real time, it's dynamic. I'm really impressed. And there is a injection bias. So if I were to pull this down, you can see it bleeds. It's just like the bleed. If I turn it off, it doesn't bleed around an object. I turn it on, it does. You get a little bit of artifacts when you crank it to 2, and I think the default is not bad. But you just put a little bit on, and it doesn't wrap around an object as much and bleed through. It's really noticeable when you're doing things like walls, and then you're getting like the bounce lighting from back here, and you're like, well, why am I getting lit? And so you just turn the injection bias up, and then it kind of prevents any of that bleeding coming through. Another cool thing is the secondary, there is a secondary occlusion. So you can turn the occlusion on, so it's like anything that's in the shadow, you can kill your indirect lighting. So it's like ambient occlusion for indirect lighting. I personally really like this, and I hope that Epic pushes this down the line. I think it's just great for doing dynamic lighting. Obviously, it's not as good. You're not going to accurately compare this to something like light mass, where you just get you spend 3 hours on a bake and you get all that amazing juicy GPU rendering time. This all has to do with real time, and it does a great job. So when you're doing your light, so I'll go back to my sunlight. When you get your light and you're doing a dynamic light nighttime system or something like that, this just does a fantastic job. And you can see it's in here is probably best. I personally love it. I think it's very cool, especially for these like little demos and showcases. I'm almost gonna, you know what I should do? I should just turn that off again, so you can really see what that looks like without it. Not nearly as fun and vibrant. Looks very stale. Wow, so sad. But turn it back on. Boom. I think I cranked the settings a little much, but that's generally how it goes. Obviously, tweak the settings to your liking, and I would definitely recommend digging through this a little bit more. They're gonna explain this a lot better than I can, and I'm just kind of going over the general meat and potatoes, like the best practices of what I do, how I achieve this look. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.